we are still the most vulnerable group on ground. The stereotyping, the discrimination as a woman, I personally has gone through it. And first-hand experience. I'll give an example because I am the example that exists at this particular period.
Yes.
I get a phone call from my competition, my male counterpart competition, asking me to step down for them.
Hello and welcome to Impact. My name is Millicent AROKA, and this morning I am so happy to have with us someone that I've just been watching her work, and I have loved it, and I have wanted you to be able to meet her and just get to love what she does. Her name is Sophie Dhibira, and she is the Jubilee Senate candidate for Migori County. Karibu sana to the show, Sophie.
Thank you for having me, Millicent. It's a pleasure to be here today.
It's such a pleasure to have you as well. And I'll just tell you straight, one of the things that I loved most about you and why I really wanted you to come to this show. Before we get to anything about Sophie, I just want Kenyans to get to know that for the longest time, I've always loved leaders who are not representative of tribes, Most of the times when we are looking for someone to actually be anything, and I'll give you, straight examples. In the Azimio, for example, if we are looking for, when we were going for people like Martha Karua, we know what she represents, but again, she's expected to deliver the Mount Kenya vote, all right? When we're going for someone like Raila, we are expecting him to deliver Nyanza, for example, the Luo vote. And that is why when you're talking about Luo places, we say his backyard, And one thing that I loved about you is that you are Kikuyu, who is expected to deliver the Luo, the Kuria vote for Migori. You're getting? Which means that you're going against tribal politics, and for me that was just a sure bet. I loved that, and I was like, I've got to talk to this one. So thank you so much for that. So let's just get into this so that people can get to understand how this came to happen. Who is Sophie?
Thank you very much. Sophie is a Kenyan, and is a product that has been long waited for by the Kenyan people. This is a Kenyan. Sophie is a true representation of a Kenya that right now we're really struggling to build as a Kenyan. My friends would tease around and call me a capsules. The way the capsule pills that has two colors?
Yes.
And even more capsules because my kids are something else. I am a Kikuyu by virtue of birth, because most people would perceive to be inclined to a particular tribe because of their dads, African-wise, because that's how it is traditionally. So I am a breed or an offspring that come from a Kikuyu and something else. I am married to a Luo in Migori, and now my kids are Luo, half Kikuyu. Then I go back to my dad's side. My dad is not a Kikuyu pure. He is a Kikuyu and half Maasai. Wow. So it is a whole concoction in my family, which is a true representation of the Kenya, of the real Kenya we want, and we are struggling so bad to have. I get really frustrated when I see tribal blocks, especially at this particular time where we're having elections, because it's either you're coming from this block or background of a certain society and tribe. Then I ask them, where would you place me? Because I have about 7 different bloods in my bloodstreams. So looking forward to see or getting to those levels as Kenyans where there is no tribe like my family, and we are one big happy family called Kenya.
And one of the things I love about that is the fact that we have great leaders, and I'll give you an example of people like Matiang'i, for example, that might not be coming from the bigger tribes. So are we saying that we are not looking forward to having, Kenyans who come from, the smaller tribes being able to lead us in places? So when we start to look at those values, then it gives us hope, you know, that even those who are coming from smaller tribes or anything like that can one day then be leaders in this country. And I love that. So now take us back to Sophie, the young girl who grew up in Migori. You know, just give us your background a bit on how you've lived back in Migori.
Okay.
Yes.
Sophie is a mother of two lovely boys, grown-up boys, born and raised in Migori in a place called Waswetawan. This is where I was born and grew up. From a very humble family. That was a Kikuyu family and another tribe in Migori. Migori is a very diverse county, as
Cosmopolitan.
Very cosmopolitan,
yes.
with about 7 tribes in there. So intermarriages in there happens a lot. So growing up, it was one interesting Kenyan society that I would really love to see happening in the entire country. To an extent whereby I would say I had 6 close family members that would take care of me, for example. My mother's cycle of friends was different tribes. I had Mama Fatuma, who was a friend of my mother's, who was a Muslim. Then we have Mama Katweka. Mama Katweka was Kisi. Then there was Mbone. Mbone is a Maragoli.
Wow.
And then the other side we have a Korean. So this is how it used to work growing up. If all these friends of my mother's would like stay in different directions of the city because it was a small town. And should any of those women find me misbehaving, I would be beaten without even a permission from my mother's.
Wow.
Kiboko. And you will be taken to the back to my mother's house. And in between, if Mama Fatuma also catch me the other side of the street doing whatever it is that I'm not supposed to do, Mama Fatuma will beat me up.
Wow.
So I loved that. I missed that. No child belonged to any tribe.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Mama Fatuma's children crossing over to my mom, they would be pulled their ears if they are caught doing whatever anytime they would be mischievous. So Migori was a village, so to speak. We actually my generation sought to be pioneers of basically everything. Examples, when the schools were not there. And my primary school, I am actually the alumni, amongst the alumni that started that, whereby we had no classes, we would school under trees. When it became too hot or maybe rainy seasons, we'd run crashing into a church nearby. So being a missionary school,
what was the name of this school?
Ombo Primary School.
Wow, Ombo. Okay.
Yes. So
I know of the Ombo Hospital.
And now there was Ombo Hospital. So it started that way.
Yeah.
School under a tree, sat on stones. I tell my sons there was no desk in school. They don't believe it.
They're very lucky.
Yeah, they have no idea where we used to go. There were no toilets also. We had flying toilets because nearby the school there was a big forest and bush. So we would go relieve ourselves there. And little by little, it all started by community donations, community contributions. So it was parents straining so hard to at least, build the school from scratch. Like for instance, do the toilets first, which was a necessity and very sanitation was key. We needed to have a place where to go. So humble background, struggle of life, and hence my quest now, because those are the things that pushes me looking back to be able to change the society, better the society, bring development technology wise, because now we are more exposed and we have learned quite a lot out there. All these, I feel that it would be beneficial for me to bring it home. Another example that was really painful experience for me, unlike most of the students in my school, they didn't have shoes. And we only had, the very first time we had a pit latrine in my school, there were only one. And you can imagine the queue during break time. And I had to share my shoes because that pit latrine floor would flood. And it was very not good. It was it was some serious hazards right there. So I would give my close friends my shoes to walk into the toilets, and in terms, like about 20 of us sharing one pair of shoes as they go there. And that used to be my daily routine every break time.
What I'm loving about this is that someone who's looking at Sophie today should not just look at someone who's doing well, but who has literally seen Migori grow from somewhere to what it is today. And therefore you would actually know what your people deserve, you know, as a better life for them. Thanks for that. Now let's move to your education. Right now, you know how people have been talking about the papers that we need, you know, to be able to represent our people. Somebody is out there wondering, Sophie is qualified for this job. Tell us about your education.
I have gone through both primary, O levels and A levels education, and now career-wise, I have a degree in commerce, and work-wise, I've done stuff to do with project development, which I've done with the NGOs and mostly United Nations, because they have been subcontracting me to do things to do with empowerment, women empowerment, because that's where my passion is. Because I also have a media background, which actually is my core, because I've done media for almost 2 decades right now on a very top management level. So all this, you know, expertise combined actually is the accelerator, is the engine that actually would yield or deliver for Migori people. Because if you look at how things work, you really ought to be very well in your public relations and your PR to be able to sell your people to whoever it is that you need to sell them to. Two, you ought to have the expertise to understand in depth the needs the people of Migori have, the problems that the people undergo. And you can only do that if you've been part and parcel, and also be a practical evidence that you've, you know, gone through the same and understanding it. So it's one thing to say that you wake up in the morning in Migori and decide you want to become a leader because everybody else tend to run towards elections, or rather political office opportunities, because maybe for the wrong reasons. In Kenya, it's all about the connections, the monies that comes about it, and how you get to, you know, earn more than any other career out there. For people like me, it's the opposite. I want to give value to my people. I want to see my people's life elevated from what there is today and to a better level. So people go into politics or into this for different reasons. And my bit is to help the people, because let's say for instance, and bigger picture of why I even got into this quest is because of the people's push. You know, when you are in a village or a society, there's always this one person that you think you believe in because you've seen it grow from scratch. And you're like, you know what, this one really actually help us. If we give him a push, or if we put our, you know, support onto her, she will deliver for us because we've seen her do A, B, C, D. So that is where or how my background career-wise is as of now. And I think I'm loving it because it feels like a call from above. I feel very refreshed if I could put a smile, not even if not 10, just one person. I get really big satisfaction out of that. I really had wanted to come to the media aspect of you. We've seen a lot of, not quite many, but you know, a sizable number of those who've been in the media and are now going into politics. What is the main push that is bringing a thing like that? Because you're one of them. Could you maybe tell us about that? I would say, looking at the background or looking at previous stories and similar situation, people, media personalities getting into politics, like I said. People getting into this or doing such have different reasons. And unfortunately, there's this thinking that if you're a media personality, because behind media personalities there's big numbers, and for you to get into political offices here in Kenya is how popular you are. So this has been what they, you know, hang on to get into the offices for one reason. You see,
Yours is a bit different. You've
Yes,
done media.
I've done media.
But you've been behind the scenes because you've been more of in the management level than being the presenter. So you're not really looking for those numbers. Yours must be a totally different push.
This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's up to the Mwananchi or Kenyans to decide whether the media personnel who've been given offices have delivered. Because what I've seen, it is what really would really expect from it, because they go there with the wrong reasons. The numbers, the tyranny of numbers that gives them an opportunity to clinch the seats have actually been the wrongest push or idea behind it. I give an example in my own county.
Yes.
We had one media personality, which I will not give name, and got into an office because of the numbers and didn't perform. So out of these experiences, now Kenyans gets to know that yes, you could be having the numbers, but are you fit for the job? Then that is where the catch is.
Okay.
Unlike myself, being in media but not in the limelight, behind the scenes management level. So I have the in-depth of management expertise that will be translated into doing this senatorial job, because it's all about getting to know your deliverables.
Balances.
Yes.
Yes.
Your deliverables. What is it that you want to change for these people? Do you have an understanding of what the people are going through versus what solutions you bring onto the table for the people? So can't just be a career or a job opportunity just for anybody because you are famous on TV or radio. It won't work. It can't work.
Okay. So now, Sophie, the media bit is really done with. Let's talk about your experience now. You know how it has been. You know, working where everything is okay, and now walking into the political world and having to campaign. You must have seen how the ground is, how murky it is. Bring it to us so that we can get to know what the ground really is like when you're campaigning.
Well, what I can say about campaigns and female perspective, on a female perspective, is that much as we talk about it, much as all the organs, government institutions talk about supporting women and whatnot, we are still the most vulnerable group on ground. The stereotyping, the discrimination as a woman, I personally has gone through it. And first-hand experience. I'll give an example because I am the example that exists at this particular period.
Yes.
I get a phone call from my competition, my male counterpart competition, asking me to step down for them. So, like I was saying, stereotyping, discrimination from the male counterparts as a female is real. Much as you want to sugarcoat it out there, it's real. And let's not do the ostrich game of hiding or burying our heads into the sand and ignoring and not telling people or calling a spade for this matter. We really need to come out and call it out for what it is, because unless we do so, then we will be doing making one step ahead and doing 1,000 backwards. So we're not going anywhere. So it is real, and I was giving an example of my own experiences whereby my male counterparts feels that they feel intimidated on ground, and they feel Senate position is a male-dominated position in this country, and not very many women would go for it because of the way this thing has been fashioned. It's very masculine. It's very vigor. There's a lot of everything, violence. They will do all sorts of things to intimidate a woman not to ever try run or compete in the same seat with them. So someone calls, my competition calls and says I should step down for them. And I ask a very simple question: on to what basis should I be stepping down for you? The reasons he gives is very, very, very interesting. Is that, because I've been running. Yes, you've been running twice and never got it. Why would I be the one to give it to you on a silver platter?
Why not call other males?
Exactly. I mean, Why would you? Because they already feel the ground is shifting.
Yes.
And I think people are also more embracing women leadership because of the conmanship and the mistrust people have with the male leadership in this country. They want to change. They want to try options like female leadership to see whether Kenya would be in a place or at a place where everybody else dreams, which will be, because I'm seeing many of us come out in big numbers this time around, and hoping that Kenyans choose women for peace, choose women for development, because we are equal capable of delivering for this nation. The stereotyping, the discrimination should actually not really be happening, but unfortunately it is what it is, and one of the gimmicks that the male counterparts uses to, you know, suppress any strong, aggressive female candidate coming up to compete for these positions with them. Okay. So, sad reality, but we have to just call it as it is.
Let's talk about the finances that go with campaigning. How has that been? And considering how the ground usually is with people doing more of Goanya, you know, they just want you to give out that money. How difficult is it, you know, to be able to campaign on what resources, for example?
Well, again, when one decides, or a female decides to get into the ring of politics, you really have to be, number one, prepared psychologically, and you also have to have something called a financial backbone for it. Without those two, it's not going to be easy, because Kenyan politics compared to any other country's politics is a bit different. There's so much money exchange involved to an extent, even when you call a crowd to come listen to you as you sell your manifesto, they would want, for lack of better word, be paid something small first.
For coming.
Not even for, it's for coming and for listening to you, and at some point they'll even ask you, okay, so we came from very far, we need fare back. So my hopes and prayers is that Kenya lives to see those days behind and accept that unless we collectively decide to change these narratives and scenarios that are actually hindering us from moving as a nation, and look at leadership in a different lens, then we will be here every other 5 years doing the same thing. I can't blame politicians as such. Yeah, it's actually a part also played heavily by the people. Unless they come out of that, you know, a mindset of I have to be paid to listen to someone.
And they own it that this is our life,
So this is also one of the challenges we're having on ground at the moment, because for a new aspirants, like for instance myself, everything is a total new experience for me. Because you can imagine coming from a well-structured background of professionalism, and then in politics there's no structures. You woke up in the morning, someone decides to drop in your inbox, and all they're doing is just howl insults at you. Talk of your hair, talk of everything, your dress code, and you've done nothing to this guy. Does not know you, you don't know them, but it really takes a lot of integrity, wisdom, and maturity to be able to be handling those kind of scenarios, because at the end of the day, these are still your voters that you need to convince regardless. So as to tell them, hey, look, Bana, we need to change this to be able to get where we need to get as a person. So this is what these are the things that I try as much as possible get to speak to them one-on-one and tell them, listen, I will call a spade, whether you like it or not, Kenyans. It's time to change the dynamics of how we operate and how we think, reason as Kenyans and reason as a people. You can't expect me to pay you to help change, for instance, your lives. I have the expertise. I would really want to share that with you, but I have to pay you to give you that. So it's a lot of things in between.
But it's also about Kenyans.
It's all about Kenyans.
Having to know that this is really about my life. I need to choose the right leader and not just the leader who gives me money. Because at the end of the day, you know, that's how we put crooks in office and everything. because we are not asking where all this money is coming from, and so they have to steal it to bring it to you, and after that they will, put off their phones because they're trying to return the money that they give to you.
Truth be told, any investment you've got to have, when you're doing an investment, you have to get your own returns.
Yes.
If as a politician, have invested heavily in giving people 50 bobs and 100 bobs, you can imagine in my county I'm dealing with about 2 million, 1.5 voters, and more than that as the entire society. 8 sub-counties.
Yes.
You'd have to traverse each and every sub-county, and each one of those, you find people who are already waiting for you to give them 50 bobs. It's a lot, Millicent. It's a lot. And the rich boys, and you can say the middlemen, political middlemen, brokers are the ones ending up in those offices. So instead of getting to filter the leaders as Kenyans, we end up giving leeway to oppressors in the offices and again complain. So I would tell Kenyans, this time around, choose wise, take your time, don't sell your lives for 50 bob.
Okay. Your last minute, I will actually give you to talk to the women now. I have loved the representation of women in this country. Just the other day, we had the deputy presidential debate. I don't know what you thought about it, but there was a lot of talk behind Wajakoya's deputy, who explained certain things that people had not even understood before, and she came up so strong. So what can we tell the women, you being one of them, that they need to do in leadership as we move on?
And to fellow women,
yes,
I would really can't emphasize enough that unless we are bold enough, unless we continue building up this army of women to be able to be listened to. Customs aside, traditions aside, because those are the things that pulls us down and make the stereotypes take full advantage of making most of us believe that our spaces are in the kitchen and raising babies. Females bring equal energies into decision-making tables. Where there is a balance of both, there is always success. I give example of what we have in Rwanda. Women or female representation of Rwanda in parliament is 50%. This is what we want to see. This is a practicality that exists in Africa, and superseding all the odds of traditions and whatnot, Rwanda has actually proven to be one of the most thriving economies in this continent. If you get the men to decide for us all that, they will always look at it on a manly masculinity side of it. Then we miss out on this other one, which is also a bigger percentage of it. Women are nurturers. If you give leadership to a woman, you are actually empowering the entire family, including the so-called men. So we are safe in women or female leadership in this country. Let us not fear based on tradition, because where I come from in my county, a woman will not be seen to be seated or given a very powerful position. It has to be a man, because that is how we were raised as Africans, to know, to believe that women are supposed to be under men. Not bad, but times have changed. We live in the 21st
where we have
century.
to work together.
21st century, the world has evolved. Technologies has taken over everything. Unless we are a society that embraces what changed and the world and the speed at which everything is moving, then we cannot expect to move as a nation, inclined of the Stone Age methodology or ways of operating, and expect to live in the current century. It won't work. I'd like to pinpoint something about the choice of women leadership the presidential aspirants this time around have done, which is really commendable and really incredible. The balance creation in the houses or decision-making table is very critical. I'm glad that our male counterparts are now learning to see that based on the experiences and based on the examples we have in other developing countries. There was a choice of Martha Karua, the deputy of the 5th incoming president. That is a wonderful thing, great thing that can ever happen to Kenya. It was long waited for, and like I said earlier, this creation of balances brings about good things. And Raila Odinga would have not chosen any better. That was the right path to do. So it is a plus this time round. Very happy. The recent concluded deputies president's debate that went on air, which was fire. You can see what Kenyan has been missing out of women. We have fires like the deputy for Wajakoya. Fresh minds, fresh injections, fresh ideologies. This is what we need to have to make Kenya move or grow. Have a vibrant country which has all inclusivity of openness and open to ideas that will actually propel Kenya into another level. So this time round, I'm urging my brothers, urging our male counterparts, leadership of this country, please vet us women with qualifications, merit to be able to deliver for the people. Because that is what Kenyans want.
Wow. Well, I'm loving this. It's about women, it's about qualified women who go out there and actually make a change in the society. And my guest this morning, Sophie Dhibira, who is the Jubilee Senate candidate for Migori County. She's going to be doing well, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so
wish
very
you all
much.
the best. My name is Millicent AROKA. This is Impact. Do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Plus, do leave a comment down there about this story.